Chapter 1 True and False Concubine. Even though the curfew has passed, the entire Gu mansion is still brightly lit and full of joy. Jiang Chongning stood outside the door of the Gu residence in ragged clothes. Her hair was disheveled, her cheeks were swollen, and her fingers were dripping with blood. A carriage inlaid with jade stopped beside her. Jiang Chongning, if you ask me, I will kill the people in the Gu family for you. A man's voice came from the carriage, deep and hoarse with deep temptation. The daughter of the people thanked the prince for saving her life. The prince has avenged the daughter of the people by killing that person. Jiang Chongning kept his back straight. The next road, the daughter of the people wants to walk by herself. Fool! The words seemed to irritate him. The people in the carriage stopped saying anything, and the sound of the wheels gradually faded away. Jiang Chongning remained motionless and did not look back. The guards outside the mansion recognized Jiang Chongning in surprise, and hurried in to report. After a while, a man and a woman in red wedding clothes came out of the mansion. Sister, oh no, Jiang Chongning. Zhang Luo pulled her new husband-in-law, Gu Xiajing, and sneered twice, didn't you elope with someone, and now you still have the face to come back? Jiang Chongning stared at Zhang Luo, his eyes were bloodshot, you sent someone to kill me. Sister, isn't she confused? Isn't my sister having a secret lover? You left the home mansion and insisted on doing such a shameless scandal. Now you are trying to slander me. After finishing speaking, Zhang Luo moved closer to the arms of the man next to him. I'm now married to Gu Lang, why is my sister so obsessed with it? She clearly had a pitiful look on her face, but the corners of her mouth were already raised maliciously. Gu Xiajing hurriedly hugged Zhang Luo in her arms, her gentle eyes towards her in the past were gone, replaced by full of disgust. Jiang Chongning, I have already said that there is only a Luo in my heart. You and I, the number of marriage contracts has never been counted. These days are also thanks to a Luo for taking care of you. But you did such a self-willed and degrading thing, you almost got a Luo involved. Am I willing to be low? Jiang Chongning laughed twice, his voice hoarse and his expression crazy. When it stopped, 2 lines of blood and tears rolled down. The people around took a few steps back after seeing this. The tearing pain in his body almost made Jiang Chongning unable to stand still. Her identity as a prostitute became Zhang Luo, and her reputation as a talented girl was also taken away by her. The mother and brother who loved her the most now treat her coldly, and Gu Xiajing, who used to follow suit, is also extremely cold to herself. Mother and elder brother don't want to see you, Jiang Chongning. If I were you, I would be dead. Jiang Chongning looked at the pair of Bai people in front of him, and was extremely angry in his heart. Zhang Luo. Zhang Luo. If there is an afterlife, I will let you. Zhang Luo was already impatient to watch Jiang Chongning go crazy, she flicked Kodan's nails indifferently. If there really is an afterlife, then feel free to come and claim your life. As if confirming her words, Jiang Changning's roaring stopped abruptly. A sharp blade burst out from her chest. The gurgling blood stained half of Jiang Changning's body red, and the severe pain made her fall down weakly. When she was about to die, looking at the indifferent faces of Zhang Luo and Gu Xiajing in front of her, Jiang Chongning gritted her teeth. If there was an afterlife, she would stop being that Jiang Chongning who followed the rules and was at the mercy of others. Those who hurt her and humiliate her will pay the price. Eye for eye. Girl, it's time. Jiang Chongning slowly opened his eyes, and the maid Hong Xing helped her up. Birds were singing crisply outside the window, and a ray of orange sunlight came in through the window. Jiang Chongning woke up startled, for a moment he couldn't tell whether it was real or a dream. She breathed a sigh of relief, her face was very pale, and her clothes were soaked in cold sweat. Jiang Chongning got up and went to the side room, and asked Hong Xing to wait for her to bathe and change clothes. When she was about to help her take off the obscene clothes, the other party covered her mouth and let out a cry of surprise. Jiang Chongning followed Hong Xing's line of sight to look down, only to realize that there was a long scar on his chest at some point. Jiang Changning's heart was full of turmoil. She stroked the scar with trembling hands, and the severe pain before she died suddenly surged from her memory. She went back in time with the scar? This is not a dream? Jiang Chongning stabilized his mood and told Hong Xing to keep quiet. As a personal maid, Hong Xing is naturally loyal to Jiang Chongning, and her eyes are full of distress. After everything was dressed, people from Jiang's mother's yard came over, saying that they wanted Jiang Chongning to come over and talk. After asking Hong Xing, Jiang Chongning realized that he had returned to the day when Zhang Luo, the true daughter of the home mansion, had just entered the mansion. Mother Zhang was tight-lipped in her last life, and she didn't tell her about the wrong two children in the arms until Zhang Luo approached her. Back then, the subordinates were negligent and let Zhang Luo, the prostitute of the home mansion, go to the farmer's house, but Jiang Chongning, who was a peasant girl, lived in the home mansion for more than 10 years. Hearing Mother Zhang wanted to call her over, Jiang Changning's heart beat faster, and she took a deep breath. What should come will always come. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Zhang Luo enters the mansion. When Jiang Chongning opened the curtain and entered, Mother Zhang was walking back and forth in the room. Seeing her coming in, she looked unnatural for a moment. Sister Ning is here, come and sit down. The servant girl served tea, and seeing the flowery face opposite, Mother Zhang hesitated, not knowing how to speak. Jiang Chongning saw Mother Jiang's unnaturalness. She smiled slightly and said as if she hadn't noticed, "Is there a happy event in the house? I only saw the pearl earrings my mother used today when my elder brother was in the middle school." "Yes, there is a happy event." Mother Zhang unconsciously touched the earrings, and put them down quickly. Jiang Chongning has always been smart, so he couldn't hide this matter even if he wanted to, and there was no need to hide it. After thinking about it again and again, Mother Zhang decided to tell the truth. "Sister Ning, you actually have a younger sister." "Coming." Jiang Changning's heart tightened. Started the conversation, and the next thing to say will naturally follow. Mother Zhang was a little embarrassed and told Jiang Chongning that Zhang Luo had taken the wrong child back then, and now Zhang Luo was going back to the house to recognize her relatives. She looked carefully at Jiang Changning's face, but was surprised to see her calm face. "It's a good thing that my mother found my younger sister." Chongning is happy for her mother. Jiang Changning's words made Mother Zhang not know what to say. She moved her mouth twice and said dryly, "Even if your sister comes back, you are still my daughter. I don't know whether to comfort or appease." Jiang Chongning smiled slightly and did not speak. After sitting for a while, the guards outside the mansion came to report, "The eldest son's carriage is back." Jiang's mother stood up all of a sudden, only to realize that she had lost her composure when she saw Jiang Chongning looking at her. Jiang Chongning got up very understandingly and took Jiang's mother's hand. Chongning accompanied mother to welcome sister. Mother Zhang was naturally very happy. A group of people came to the gate of the mansion in a mighty manner, and after waiting for a while, they saw two carriages slowly approaching from the corner of the street. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, Zhang Chenbei poked his head out of the carriage first. Jiang Chongning looks good, standing there in a green dress is very eye-catching. Zhang Chenbei didn't expect Jiang's mother to tell Jiang Chongning about finding his sisters so soon, and he didn't expect Jiang Chongning to accept it so quickly. After all, the gap between the high-ranking prostitute daughter and the lowly peasant girl is nothing short of cloud and mud. What's more, now the real master has come to the door. Being watched by Zhang Chenbei, Jiang Chongning called out, neither humble nor overbearing, "Big brother." Zhang Chenbei nodded, and gave Jiang Chongning a high look, and at the same time he was a little relieved. "Brother Bo." Mother Zhang couldn't help calling out. She took 2 steps in the direction of the carriage, and then stopped nervously. Jiang Chenbei nodded solemnly, jumped off the carriage, and stretched out his hand to the carriage. The tone was very gentle, "I'm home, sister." The plain curtain was lifted, and a frail and boneless jade hand rested on Zhang Chenbei's arm. Then a beautiful little face appeared in front of everyone. She is shorter than Zhang Chongning in stature, but her appearance is comparable to Zhang Chongning. If Zhang Chongning is a beautiful peony, and this girl is a pure moon in the sky. Zhang Chongning stared at that face, and the handkerchief in her hand was unconsciously crumpled. It took all my strength to hold back that I didn't do anything out of line. The only difference from the previous life is that Zhang Luo in this life is even more beautiful. Zhang Chenbei led Zhang Luo to Mother Zhang. Zhang Luo was a little shy, bit her red lips, and called out in a low voice, "Mother." Mother Zhang answered with a trembling voice. She hugged the girl into her arms with tears in her eyes and cried, "My son is suffering." The two of them hugged each other and cried, which made the eyes of the people around them sour. Zhang Chongning pressed the corners of her eyes with a handkerchief in response to the occasion, and there was a disturbing cry next to her ears. She was pressing on something in her heart, and when she was thinking about how to deal with Zhang Luo later, a milky voice rang out into the ear. Drib. Congratulations to the host for starting the main mission line. Next, please take a look at the main character Zhang Chenbei. Character favorability is 50%. Zhang Chongning froze there, she was sure that she had never heard this voice before. Then came Zhang Luo's voice. System, is that woman Zhang Chongning, the lucky son of this small world? Yes, as long as you successfully capture someone close to Zhang Chongning, you will gain her luck. Only in this way can we have the energy to go to the next small world. It's not easy to attack them. Did you use the appearance blessing props I want? Zhang Luo was still lying on Jiang's mother's shoulder, her mouth was slightly pursed, but her eyes were staring at a certain place, no focal length. Presumably, he was talking to that thing called the system in his heart. Beauty filter, in the eyes of outsiders after using it, the skin of the host can be broken and flawless 200 points once. Already used it, host. So expensive. That's why the host has to work hard to capture the task object in exchange for points. Little Nai's voice is innocent, but to Zhang Changning's ears, it is full of malice. Zhang Luo actually carried something that Zhang Chongning hadn't discovered before. During the conversation, he mentioned strategy, favorability, and so on. This thing called the system can control people's hearts. Zhang Chongning paused for a moment, thinking of the abnormality of the people in the home mansion in his dream. So, Zhang Luo had a system at that time, and successfully captured them. It's just that I couldn't hear the conversation between the system and Zhang Luo at that time. How can I hear it now? Before Zhang Chongning could figure it out, Zhang Luo had already walked towards her. End of this chapter. Chapter 3 Provocative Words. This is the sister Ning that my brother said. Zhang Luo looked at Zhang Chongning with bright eyes, and said in a very innocent tone, I am homesick, so I can't help but look for my mother and brother. Sister Ning will not be angry, right? Before Zhang Chongning could answer Zhang Luo, he continued, Sister Ning, don't worry, you will always be the concubine of the Ho family. Now that I have met my mother and brother, I have fulfilled my wish, so I am going to leave. Seeing teardrops rolled down, so pitiful. The host's acting skills are getting more and more exquisite. Of course, he is also the one who won the Best Actress after all. Zhang Luo's tone was full of complacency. Mother Zhang was anxious when she heard Zhang Luo's words. She took Zhang Luo's arm and shouted to everyone in the mansion, I see who dares to let you go. Since you are back, you will belong to this home mansion just like Cheng Ning. Concubine. But I'm afraid Sister Ning will be angry. Zhang Luo didn't finish her sentence, because Zhang Chongning also cried. Why does my sister misunderstand me so much? She must be resenting me. Zhang Chongning cried with pear blossoms in the rain, this is my sister's home, and it is I who should leave. Mother and brother have always remembered my sister, after I leave, please ask my younger sister to take good care of my mother and elder brother, all the faults are on me, Please don't hold grudges against others. Zhang Changning's crying is different from Zhang Luo's. Zhang Luo's character is gentle and gentle. As a prostitute, Zhang Chongning always smiles with consideration. As strong as her, it is naturally more distressing to cry suddenly. No, Jiang's mother was very distressed. Quickly picked up the handkerchief and wiped away Zhang Changning's tears. Your sister didn't mean that. Luoer, hurry up and apologize to your sister. At the same time, Zhang Changning's words reminded her that after more than 10 years of hard life, Zhang Luo might really have resentment towards her in her heart. Zhang Chenbei also disagreed a little. How could he force Chongning to leave as soon as he came back? Zhang Luo is too petty. Mother Zhang and Zhang Chenbei's disapproving eyes made Zhang Luo want to vomit blood with hatred. Shouldn't Zhang Chongning slap her twice and tell her to get out? Why is she crying now? This bitch! The sound of the system's milk whirring sounded again. Drip. It is detected that the favorability of Zhang Chenbei's character has dropped to 30%, please work the host. Zhang Chongning wiped his eyes with a handkerchief, actually secretly paying attention to the reaction of the system and Zhang Luo. To her surprise, it was such a small sentence that Zhang Chenbei lost his favorability. She had some vague ideas in her mind. Zhang Changning's crying disrupted Zhang Luo's plan, and there was no imaginary accusation at all. She originally wanted to annoy Zhang Chongning, but it would be better to make her lose her temper and slowly polish off her relationship with Jiang's mother and everyone. In this way, the situation is more conducive to her strategy. But things backfired. Zhang Luo's eyes darkened. She endured the humiliation and apologized to Zhang Chongning, and Zhang Chongning graciously forgave Zhang Luo. Entering the Ho's mansion, Zhang Luo's tongue was brilliant and the lotus blossoms quickly coaxed Jiang's mother to forget the unhappiness just now. Zhang Chongning deliberately fell behind slowly. It's nothing at all, being seen by others means that Zhang Chongning has fallen out of favor. Zhang Chenbei wanted to comfort him, but before he could say anything, Zhang Lujiao called him away with a smile. Zhang Chongning was non-committal, and she was deeply impressed by Jiang's mother and Zhang Chenbei's indifference and cruelty to her later in the dream. Hate can't be said, but the intimacy before is gone. Zhang Luo didn't live with Zhang Chongning after all, she moved to Jiang's mother's yard. Mother and daughter had been intimate for a few days before Mother Zhang remembered that there was still a pra-daughter Zhang Chongning in the mansion. She called Zhang Chongning over. Zhang Luo was wearing a brand new dress, which was different from the simplicity when she first entered the mansion. Zhang Chongning glanced away before looking away. Mother Zhang was very satisfied with Zhang Luo, and Mother Zhang had prepared for the worst before finding her back. The biological daughter is living in a small household in the countryside, and those who should be brought up are not on the stage. I didn't expect that after meeting, I realized that Zhang Changning's every move was not inferior to that of Zhang Chongning, who was carefully cultivated. This is very joyful and unexpected. After much deliberation, Jiang's mother finally blamed the cause on her blood. As expected of her child, it's her nature, so it doesn't matter where it is placed. Facing Zhang Chongning, Mother Zhang cut to the chase. In order for Zhang Luo to return to the home mansion in a legitimate manner, Jiang's mother decided to hold a flower viewing feast. In the name of appreciating flowers, he posted a post to the family he had made friends with in the home mansion, and introduced Zhang Luo to everyone on the grounds that Zhang Luo was raised in the temple because he was weak since he was a child. Actually, the scene of confessing relatives at the gate of the home mansion that day has already spread ups and downs in Beijing. The identity of Zhang Changning's fake daughter-in-law is already well known. Zhang Chongning obediently agreed to Mother Jiang's proposal. She smiled slightly, everything is arranged by Mother. Zhang Luo was disdainful in her heart, but she curled her mouth towards Zhang Chongning, and then threw herself into Jiang's mother's arms, acting like a little girl. For a while, the room was filled with Zhang Luo's crisp laughter, and at this moment, Zhang Chenbei came back from the outside. His voice was clear, and before anyone entered the room, the voice came in first. Second sister, what did my brother bring you? Full of uncontrollable joy and anticipation. He lifted the curtain, and his eyes lit up when he saw Zhang Luo. He took out the things in his arms. End of this chapter. Chapter 4 Ginger Lulu stuffing is a picture of characters. The handwriting is clear and sharp. The ordinary Wing Chun ditty has a majestic air because of the person who wrote it. Good word. Zhang Chongning put down his cup and praised him sincerely. Zhang Chenbai called Zhang Chongning, elder sister, also come and see. Zhang Luo accepted it, pretending to be very pleasantly surprised, but was actually talking to the system in his heart. System, what does this word say? Looking at Zhang Chenbai's appearance, this thing is not easy to come by. It should be no ordinary calligraphy and painting. And Zhang Chongning is known as a talented woman. If she can get a compliment, these words must have a lot of background. After a long while, the childish voice replied, this word is the last word of a female scholar, named King Gui. Learn from the great Confucianism in the world. She created this set of cursive script by herself, so she is sought after by thousands of students, and every word is worth a fortune because this set of huakai is especially suitable for women. There are many noble ladies who want to ask for a copy of her calligraphy so that they can trace in detail. After listening to the system's answer, Zhang Luo gained confidence. She thanked Zhang Chenbai first, and then pretended to be casual and said, although the lower script of King Gui layman is precious, in the bottom of Luo'er's heart, the big brother's calligraphy is the best. After listening to Zhang Luo's words, Zhang Chenbai's smile paused slightly, and he and Jiang's mother looked at each other before boasting, second sister is really amazing. She even recognized Lei King Gui's handwriting at a glance. This reaction was wrong. Zhang Luo's heart sank slightly. Zhang Chongning stepped forward to explain Zhang Luo's confusion. Second sister is right, this set of Xinghua Ziokai is indeed produced by King Gui layman. However, the preciousness of this set of characters is not the words, but the seal on it. Second sister, look carefully. Zhang Changning's thin white fingers landed on the seal in the lower right corner. A lump of ink pad the size of a thumb. At first glance it looks like a small character, but if you look closely, it is clearly a cluster of flourishing flowering branches. This is not a word, it is clearly a painting. Someone used uncanny craftsmanship to carve the appearance of the flower branch into a micro-character. The person who engraved this seal is the master of layman King Gui, the world-renowned Confucian Mr. King Bai. Since he is a master, the value of paintings is naturally higher than that of apprentices. In addition, innocence is not often shot, and there are very few works that have flowed out. The value of this seal can be imagined. Zhang Luo gritted her silver teeth. Since Zhang Chongning knows that the most precious thing is the seal, what does the word good mean when she blurted out? Zhang Luo almost suspected that Zhang Chongning did it on purpose. Zhang Chongning did it on purpose. She deliberately misled Zhang Luo with a good word. Sure enough, after listening to her words, Zhang Luo and the so-called system focused all their attention on the words and ignored the seal. How many books I have read and how many words I have written before I can put all that knowledge into my mind, and then Zhang Chongning is known as a talented woman. She, Zhang Luo, wanted to get all of this without paying anything. Under Jiang's mother and Zhang Chenbai's admiring eyes, Zhang Chongning went on to say, although the second sister is smart, she grew up in the countryside after all, so she must be lacking in this aspect. There are some orphan copies in the sister's room. If the younger sister doesn't dislike it, she can take it. Go see. Zhang Chenbai didn't think much about it, he straight up praised, Chongning is right, sister, you are back in the Ho's mansion now, if you don't understand anything, you can ask your eldest sister. It's all a family, so don't be polite. Jiang's mother heard Zhang Changning's words, and felt that although Zhang Luo behaved well, but after all, she grew up in the countryside, so she was naturally inferior to Zhang Chongning in terms of poetry and poetry. Like an embroidered pillow, a pretty shelf is useless. It's okay to be in my own mansion, but it's timid when I go out. Zhang Changning's proposal is just right, but this is not a long-term solution. I have to hire a powerful gentleman for Zhang Luo, and I will wait for a while. Thinking in her heart, Mother Zhang also suggested that Zhang Luo should learn from Zhang Chongning first. Zhang Luo scolded Zhang Chongning hundreds of times in her heart, but she had no choice but to obey obediently. System, what should I do? I don't know any of those words, and it gives me a headache just by looking at them. Telling me to read with Zhang Chongning might as well tell me to die. Host, when we took over this body, I advised you to catch up on the books and knowledge of this world while you have time. It's not like a word with Zhang Chongning will let you out. What's the use of talking about it now? The original energy was spent on changing the appearance. If not, how can I compare with Zhang Chongning based on the original appearance of this body? Speaking of transforming the body, the host, you exchanged so many points for appearance-enhancing props, but there are not many points. Got it, got it. How good is Zhang Chenbei now? Back to host, 70% Zhang Chongning stood there very calmly, his attention seemed to be on King Gui's words. Her hands in the sleeves were tightly curled up, and her nails were almost embedded in her palms. I haven't seen you for a few days, but Zhang Chenbei's favorability has increased so much. Not to mention Mother Zhang, who is the biological mother. And what does Zhang Luo's words mean? What does it mean to occupy the body? Zhang Chongning took a deep breath. The future is long and there is no rush. Zhang Chenbei had a lot of work to do, so he got up to leave after sitting for a while. Seeing this, Zhang Chongning bid farewell to Mother Zhang, and followed them out together. Do you have something to say to me? Zhang Chenbei stopped after passing through the Chihuahua gate. I've been thinking about it, but now that my sister is back, it doesn't make sense for me to stay in the home mansion. Zhang Chongning looked at the flowers in the yard. My father and mother are kind to me, and I want to see them too. Zhang Chenbei directly interrupted Zhang Chongning, his handsome eyebrows frowned, as if he was a little angry. Although you were not born to your mother, you have been raised by your mother for many years. If you leave as soon as Luo'er comes back, what will happen to others? Miss her. End of this chapter. Chapter 5 Success Strategies. Zhang Chongning turned his head, looked straight at Zhang Chenbei without speaking. The younger sister's eyes made Zhang Chenbei feel strange. He coughed uncomfortably and said as a cover-up, "You are still engaged to Gu Fu, and I'm doing it for your own good. Let's discuss the matter of leaving later." Looking at the back of Zhang Chenbei leaving, Zhang Chongning sighed softly. The elder brother who doted on him has gradually disappeared. The flower viewing feast was held in the backyard of Haofu. Zhang Changning's father, the old Hoya of the Zhenbei home mansion, made great military exploits during his lifetime, and the late emperor gave him a royal residence in the previous dynasty. The house occupies a vast area, and the carved beams and painted buildings inside are magnificent. The back garden is full of exotic flowers and plants, and it is perfect to have a flower banquet there. On the day of the flower banquet, the entire home mansion was bustling with people coming and going. Almost all the aristocratic families who received Mother Jiang's post came. Among them was Gu Fu, Zhang Changning's fiancé-in-law Gu Xiajing. The whole Gu family already knew about Zhang Chongning being wronged. Gu's family is a scholarly family, and scholars are the most respectful. And it wasn't Zhang Changning's fault that he was hugged wrong. So even though the outside world was full of rumors, the Gu family had no intention of retiring the engagement. In addition to going to the banquet this time, Gu Xiajing is also for in Zhang Changning's heart. They grew up together, and their friendship is naturally deep. Zhang Luo is dressed up, her waist is visible and slender to the naked eye. And the fullness of the chest formed a thrilling arc. As soon as he appeared on the stage, he attracted everyone's attention. Zhang Chongning was sitting in a corner, holding a small wooden box in his hand, which contained a mahogany hairpin. The appearance is simple and plain, and it can be seen that the sculptor's technique is not very skilled. Gu Xiajing has the lofty and reserved nature of a scholar, so it is already very bold and blatant for him to give this hairpin. The maid Hong Xing also saw what Zhang Chongning was holding in her hand. She covered her mouth and smiled secretly, and then gave the delicately smiling Zhang Luo a sneaky look. Zhang Chongning, who saw the red apricot, covered his forehead and sighed. Zhang Luo was praised by all the wives of various families. Mother Jiang's face was flushed, and even the creases at the corners of her eyes faded a lot. Zhang Chenbai, on the other hand, was cornered by the sons of the capital's aristocratic family, and the young princes were all asking him when he would have another fairy sister. Zhang Chongning is also very good, but compared to Zhang Luo, he is a bit bland. The girls are different, they regard Zhang Luo, who turned out to be a scourge. Zhang Chongning is enough to cause a headache, now Zhang Luo is even more terrifying, and it will make people die. The second girl Luo Yu and Zhang Chongning, the second daughter of the Shangshu family of the Ministry of War, have a very close personal relationship. She sat next to Zhang Chongning, peeled an orange and handed it to her. Zhang Chongning reached out to take it, put it in his mouth and ate it. Luo Yu waited for Zhang Chongning to eat half an orange before whispering, "Your sister is not simple. Where did you start with this?" Zhang Chongning was a little puzzled. It was the first time Luo Yu and Zhang Luo met, so this evaluation was a bit merciless. "Look who she's talking to. What's wrong with Mrs. He?" "What Mrs. He? That's your future mother-in-law." Luo Yu hated iron. If it wasn't for the public, she would have poked Zhang Changning's forehead with her finger. "It's just a few words, it won't affect anything." There was one sentence that Zhang Chongning didn't finish. Whether this marriage can be kept depends mainly on whether Gu Xiajing can keep it. If Gu Xiajing can pass Zhang Luo's test, then she, Zhang Chongning, is naturally willing to take responsibility for the friendship of the past 10 years. "It's not that I didn't try hard to keep her in my previous life, but the result is a pity." Luo Yu is still persuading Zhang Chongning, "There are so many sisters in my mansion, I can see through people like Zhang Luo at a glance. People like her want what they lack, and if they don't have it, they will make decisions from others. You have too many eyes, don't be unable to keep anything in the end. Let me tell you, people are alive and money is dead, and it's yours if you get it in your hands. If you can't keep someone, you have to save more money." Zhang Chongning was taught humbly, "Got it." Zhang Changning's marriage contract with Gu Xiajing is well known, so naturally Zhang Luo couldn't hide it. As one of the targets of the strategy, the system has already shown Gu Xiajing's appearance to her, and he is a very outstanding gentleman. Zhang Luo is very satisfied and eager to try. Before the flower viewing feast, she exchanged props with the system to narrow her waist a bit. Talking to Mrs. He was also intentional, and she is bound to win Gu Xiajing. Although she was talking to those wives, Zhang Luo was secretly paying attention to Zhang Chongning. Even the box in her hand was scanned by the system, and it turned out to be a hairpin from Gu Xiajing. "Very good." Zhang Luo turned towards Zhang Chongning and said loudly, "What is that thing in my sister's hand? Could it be for me?" For a moment, everyone's eyes were on Zhang Chongning. Zhang Chongning didn't speak, she saw Gu Xiajing who had just entered the door. Zhang Luo's voice is different from Zhang Changning's melodious and clear voice, with a soft and delicate voice. Her words were obviously very arrogant and unreasonable, but they sounded like a baby to others. Gu Xiajing didn't notice Zhang Luo, he saw Zhang Chongning raised his eyebrows and smiled, walking towards Zhang Chongning. Zhang Chongning was a little nervous, she held onto the box tightly. When Gu Xiajing was 2 steps away from her, Zhang Chongning heard Zhang Luo's voice. "System, use the charmer halo." "Okay, host." Zhang Changning's heart sank. "Be careful!" somebody yelled, and from the corner of Zhang Changning's eyes, he saw Zhang Luo's unsteady figure and fell to her side. Then he was hugged by a slender figure halfway. It was Gu Xiajing who caught Zhang Luo. Their eyes met each other, with a warm fragrance like jade in their arms. Gu Xiajing's heart was beating like a drum, and his ears turned red in public. Zhang Chongning watched that scene with cold hands and feet. The sound of milk in her ear continued. Mission objective Gu Xiajing's favorability degree is 10%. Mission objective Gu Xiajing favorability degree 20%. Mission objective Gu Xiajing's favorability degree is 100%. The system finally stopped at the 100 position. In just a few seconds, Zhang Luo successfully attacked Gu Xiajing in front of Zhang Chongning. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Zhang Chongning was sweating. She was ready to lose Gu Xiajing, but she never thought it would be so soon. She stared at the two people in front of her, and her hands and feet trembled uncontrollably. This was the first time she faced the power of the system props. This power can invisibly play with people and applaud. What is the difference from God? She is just a mortal body, what can she use to fight God? Zhang Chongning took 2 steps back uncontrollably, and the box in his hand fell to the ground with a snap. The mahogany hairpin inside rolled out. Drib. System 886 has detected that similar systems are using mission props. Just as Zhang Chongning was in a daze, a voice with rustling electric current broke into Zhang Changning's ears. This system thought it was a good thing. Garbage system uses garbage props. The system named 886 made complaints about it online with its real name, and it seemed that it looked down on Zhang Luo's system. It is not a good person who can be fooled by a small heartthrob aura. 886 snorted and made a conclusion. Where did you talk? Could it be another system? Zhang Chongning looked around vigilantly, but he didn't find anything after looking around a few times. Hong Xing supported Zhang Changning's arm. She looked worried at Zhang Changning's pale face. It's all right, girl. The warmth from his arm made Zhang Chongning wake up a bit. When she seldom lost her composure, after all, she was the younger sister who had sheltered her for more than 10 years, and even Zhang Chenbei frowned worriedly. Gu Xiajing and Zhang Luo have separated long ago, but the sticky atmosphere between the two cannot deceive others. Luo Yu sneered a few times as he really did. The others looked at Zhang Chongning with some pity. Zhang Changning's mind was no longer on Gu Xiajing and Zhang Luo. She settled down and concentrated, hoping to hear that voice again. Sure enough, after a short pause, 886's voice came again. It seems to be talking to itself. The person who uses this prop must be an idiot. Although the aura of a millionaire can confuse the mind and turn people into licking dogs with no bottom line, it also has side effects. When you lose this item, what awaits the user will be a catastrophe. 886 electrician laughed twice in disorder, and then said persuasively, this system has props that are 10,000 times more powerful than that one. Do you want to try it? There are no side effects and no points are required, as long as you agree to bind with me. Shut up. A lazy and deep voice interrupted its eloquence. Zhang Chongning looked in the direction of the window in astonishment. The person sitting there is dressed in red clothes like fire. He didn't tie his hair up, it just let it loose casually. A delicate and handsome face is a bit more beautiful than Zhang Luo's piled up with props. It looks very harmless, but there is a large space to sit. Everyone tacitly avoided getting too close to him. Just because he is the youngest son of the old emperor, the last banquet king Qin Huizhu. Bloodthirsty, uncertain. It was everyone's impression of Qin Huizhu. But it was also such a person who rescued her from Gu Han's hands when she was in despair. I just don't know why such a of killing came here. Even if Mother Zhang had 10 guts, she wouldn't dare to post a post to Yan Wang's mansion. Qin Huizhu came uninvited because of Zhang Luo, and he has a system. Zhang Chongning couldn't figure out the situation in front of her, but she was tenacious and had experienced even the most desperate situations. So Zhang Chongning looked away from Qin Huizhu without showing any trace. Let's wait and see what happens. Yo-yo, that little beauty just saw you. Aren't you afraid of being discovered by that woman's body after you talk so much nonsense? This authority has higher authority than it. If I want to find out, I will go up a few levels first. Qin Huizhu's system 880 SIX's tone was full of complacency. Zhang Chongning lowered his eyes. Oh, so it wasn't all the way. This situation reassured her a little. Zhang Luo breathed a sigh of relief when he heard the system's announcements. Successfully conquering Gu Xiajing means earning thousands of points. It just so happened that her points had bottomed out. Wasn't this when she fell asleep and met the pillow? The system and Zhang Luo blew a few rainbow farts on each other. The refreshed Zhang Luo looked at the lonely Zhang Chongning. There was an unknown smile on her face. Big sister, I like that hairpin of yours very much, can you give it to me? At the same time, Zhang Chongning also heard Zhang Luo's vicious voice, System, use your words. 500 points for one speech. Use. This time I must drive Zhang Chongning out of the Haofu. Okay, host. Zhang Chongning didn't know what the word spirit in Zhang Luo's mouth was, but his intuition was not a good thing. In the direction of Qin Huizhu, the voice of 886 came over again, gloating, hey, the little beauty is going to be in trouble. Everyone was looking at Zhang Chongning, but she didn't dare to act rashly. What's the matter, sister? Zhang Luo walked 2 steps forward with a smile. The distance between them was so close that Zhang Chongning could almost smell the faint fragrance of Zhang Luo's body. The plum blossom hairpin was tightly pinched in Zhang Changning's hands, like a piece of hot potato. Zhang Luo didn't seem to see Zhang Changning's imminent enemy, she even tilted her head at Zhang Chongning coquettishly. Zhang Chongning took a step back, and when he was about to say no, he heard Zhang Luo's voice. She looks like she is holding the winning ticket, the corners of her lips are slightly raised. Pierce this hairpin at me fiercely, sister, and get out of home mansion. This sentence was said by Zhang Luo to the system from the bottom of her heart. Drib. The prop-speaking spirit has taken effect. System. Help me block the pain. Following Zhang Luo's urging, Zhang Chongning, who was always on guard, suddenly felt a cold aura surrounding him. Then, her hand holding the hairpin was raised uncontrollably. Zhang Changning's heart was beating wildly, she would never have imagined that Zhang Luo would be so impatient to use the props on her body. Zhang Chongning felt like he was split in two. Half wanted to withdraw his arm, half wanted to do something to Zhang Luo. It's fine if a hairpin can stab Zhang Luo to death, this is her own fault, but obviously with the blessing of the system, it is even more difficult to kill her. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, if he hurt Zhang Luo, then he would be finished too. Zhang Chongning raised his arms slightly, breathing faster. Her body collapsed to the extreme, and the peach blossom hairpin was almost broken with bare hands. Even Zhang Luo gave a soft yet, as if he didn't expect Zhang Chongning to resist Yanling and persist for so long. The system, the speech spirit doesn't seem to work on her. It's not that it doesn't work, she's just holding on with willpower. Then what should I do? Wouldn't it be a waste of my prop? Zhang Luo's voice was very dissatisfied, this bitch, I spent 500 points for nothing. End of this chapter. Chapter 7 System Punishment. The host doesn't have to worry, you will be punished for resisting the quest props. The system's voice is imperceptibly cruel and exciting. Zhang Chongning no longer hesitated, turned around and wanted to run out. But as soon as she lifted one foot, an excruciating pain invaded her whole body. Zhang Chongning gritted his teeth and almost couldn't help screaming out. The severe pain made her tremble uncontrollably. She seemed to be able to feel the electric current swimming in her body, and her flesh was sizzled by being roasted. The people present didn't know what kind of torture Zhang Chongning was suffering at this time. In their view, Zhang Changning's face was just a little pale. This is a silent punishment and game. The little beauty will die if this continues. 886 clicked his tongue twice. What a beauty, she is about to be electrocuted to death, what a tragedy in the world. Qin Huizhu kept looking at Zhang Chongning, she was almost unable to stand upright, the hair on her forehead was wet with sweat, and the knuckles of her hand holding the skirt turned white, obviously in extreme pain. Are you really not going to save her? Qin Huizhu took a sip of his wine and said in a low voice, No, the pure white figure in front of him was obviously very slender, but he refused to bow his head and break it. Qin Huizhi played with the empty wine glass in his hands. It's kind of interesting. Jiang Changning's patience has reached the limit, and her eyes are blurred. When he fell down, he was held in his arms by a pair of strong hands. A rag like this, if she wants it, you just give it to her. Qin Huizhi's voice was always indifferent and cold, and when Jiang Chongning raised his head, he could only see his thin jaw. The pain raging on his body also subsided. Seeing Qin Huizhi's face clearly, Zhang Luo's eyes lit up. Before she could speak, her brain suddenly throbbed violently. Zhang Luo held her head and let out a shrill scream. The system on his body also made a sizzling electric sound, which was obviously affected. What's going on? System. Zhang Luo covered her head in embarrassment while asking the system in her heart. The sudden pain also confused her. Drib. An unknown virus attack has been detected, and the antivirus mode has now been forcibly turned on. The always cute little milk voice became annoyed. Aren't you an advanced system? Can you still be poisoned? Zhang Luo raised her voice, obviously a little bit disbelieving. Since she was bound to this system, she has been reborn, from the bottom of society to the ranks of celebrities. Open your mouth when you come to clothes, stretch out your hands when you have food, life is very extravagant. The pampered life has long made her skin and flesh extremely delicate, and she still has no ability to bear pain. After listening to Zhang Luo's questioning, the system was also very dissatisfied. I am an advanced system, but how much energy and points have I embezzled to help you deal with the mess left over these years? Years of insufficient energy will also reduce the natural defense power. I don't care about this, now you can help me stop my headache. Zhang Luo has already started talking nonsense. If you can't even solve this virus, what use are you? The system stopped talking, and after a while, the little milk voice started counting down indifferently. Drip. Unbinding mode 5, 4, 3, has been activated with the host. I was wrong, I was wrong. The system's ruthlessness made Zhang Luo turn pale with shock. Compared with the consequences of losing the system, the current pain is nothing. She can no longer live without the system, and it would be better to let her die if she wants to go back to her previous life. The system stopped at the last moment. Looking at the trembling Zhang Luo, its voice became gentle again. The host should pay attention to what he says in the future, or he will be misjudged. After all, I'm just a useless system, and it's normal for the program to be messed up. I know. I know. The system's words made her feel scared. Zhang Luo's lips trembled and finally dared not say anything. Fortunately, the antivirus speed of the system is also very fast, and the pain in Zhang Luo's head is finally relieved. Zhang Luo let out a long breath, and seemed to be alive again. In fact, as long as Zhang Luo uses her brain, she will understand that the system is scaremongering. It takes a lot of energy to untie the host, and they don't even have the energy to leave this small world now, so how could the system be willing to untie Zhang Luo? And there is no extra energy to untie her. Now they are grasshoppers on a rope. The system knows Zhang Luo too well. She is too stupid and too lazy. A casual sentence could make her kneel down and beg for mercy, so why would she think of that? When I was bound to her back then, it was because I valued her being simple-minded and easy to control. However, it is very annoying to get too carried away and forget who you are. Zhang Luo raised her head to meet Jiang Changning's cold gaze, feeling a little guilty. System, Jiang Chongning seems to be fine. This is also the first time for me to encounter this kind of situation. I thought about it systematically. After all, she is a child of luck, and now luck is added to her body. And just now I was poisoned again, which may have greatly reduced the effect of the word spirit. It's just that this virus is a bit strange. The system's small milk voice is rarely full of great confusion. Seeing Zhang Luo and her system in a mess, 886 laughed wildly in Qin Huizhi's mind unexpectedly. The virus was caused by my father. Brother, look, I also unlocked the speaking spirit on the little beauty, and also let the two idiots on the opposite side drink a pot. Can you consider binding with me? 886 rubbed his hands together, and said in a very doggy manner. Qin Huizhu embraced Zhang Chongning, and said expressionlessly, get lost. 886, WH. Zhang Chongning felt better, only to realize that he was lying in Qin Huizhu's arms. The elegant fragrance from the man's clothes almost overwhelmed her. Zhang Chongning, who was always calm, couldn't help but blush a little. She quickly stood up from Qin Huizhu's arms. Looking at his handsome face, Zhang Chongning felt mixed feelings. In the last life, it was Qin Huizhu who saved him, but now he is the one who saves him. Seeing Zhang Chongning looking at him with a complicated expression, Qin Huizhu bent his lips. What? Have you fallen in love with me? Qin Huizhu clearly had a smile on his face, but his eyes seemed to be covered with ice for thousands of years, without a trace of warmth. Zhang Chongning calmed down, and his attitude returned to the previous alienation. My daughter dare not, so please be careful with your words. Tisk, it's really ruthless. After watching the fun, Qin Huizhu sighed softly. Ignoring the crowd with different expressions, he turned around and left the mansion. I don't know whether it was intentional or not, the wooden hairpin that Zhang Chongning accidentally dropped when he fainted was crushed to pieces by his kick. Seeing that the killing had completely left, Luo Yu, who had been looking at Zhang Chongning, hurried to Zhang Changning's side. She supported Zhang Changning's arm very worried. Are you okay? Zhang Changning's fall just now really shocked her, but fortunately, she was finally saved by Yan Wang. It's okay. Zhang Chongning reached out and patted the back of Luo Yu's hand to comfort him. I felt dizzy for a while. Zhang Luo is your sister, just a hairpin, why are you here? Zhang Changning's words were interrupted, and she turned her head in astonishment. End of this chapter. Chapter 8 Questioning in public. Gu Xiajing had already helped Zhang Luo up, and she was falling weakly in his arms and weeping secretly. Seeing Zhang Changning's puzzled expression, Gu Xiajing frowned and said again, A Luo has just returned home, as her older sister, you should protect her everywhere, let alone mentioning hurting others. The justifiable reproach in his tone made Zhang Chongning laugh angrily. I didn't know that Mr. Gu is so sympathetic to women and jade. It's only been a few hours since we met, but now he even calls him such an intimate name as A Luo. Zhang Chongning raised his eyebrows. Could it be that Mr. Gu met the second sister in private? This is a bit embarrassing. It is not obvious to tell everyone. Did Zhang Luo hook up with her future brother-in-law as soon as she returned to the house? Zhang Chongning and Gu Xiajing's marriage has been decided long ago, and everyone knows it. A girl secretly covered her mouth with a fan and smiled. Gu Xiajing's face was flushed red. He is a scholar, so he couldn't say vulgar words, so he said in disgust, foul words, vulgar words. Zhang Chongning is not angry, she has calmed down now. He even calmly said, Young Master Gu, don't become angry from embarrassment, do you still remember why you came here today? Why did you come here? Naturally, it's for. Gu Xiajing suddenly paused. He suddenly remembered that he came here today so that Zhang Chongning would not have to worry, whether she is the prostitute of the Ho family or not, this marriage will not change. But what are you doing now? The strong sense of shame made Gu Xiajing's heart slightly shaken, and Zhang Luo, who was leaning on him, immediately noticed it, and she exclaimed in a timely manner, It hurts. Sure enough, Gu Xiajing's attention was immediately attracted. He looked up and down Zhang Luo nervously, but the head hurts again. Zhang Luo let Gu Xiajing hold her hand. Seeing Zhang Chongning looking at her, Zhang Luo's willow eyebrows slightly raised. I'm sorry, sister, Mr. Gu just cares about me and has no other meaning. It's all my fault, don't blame him. Miss Luo, this happened because of her, so you don't have to apologize. In the end, he changed his address because he was concerned about Zhang Changning's words. Gu Xiajing's maintenance made Zhang Luo very proud. Everyone is a lady, so what about the son of luck? In her eyes, he is just a fart. Zhang Luo and Gu Xiajing in front of him sang together, and Zhang Chongning felt strangely overlapped with the two figures he saw when he was dying in his previous life. At this moment, Zhang Chongning finally felt relieved of his friendship with Gu Xiajing, his childhood sweetheart for more than 10 years. The playmate who grew up with her in childhood has gone farther and farther. Perhaps what 886 said is right, so the person who is easily controlled by props is not firm in his feelings for himself. Zhang Chongning resisted the control of the props and was struck by lightning. At this time, he felt physically and mentally exhausted. I'm already impatient with Zhang Luo and the others to make false promises. Just said very indifferently, if Mr. Gu insists that I hurt people in public, you can send me to the government. Many people have seen what happened today. I believe everyone is willing to be a witness for me. Because of the injury of the second younger sister, now that my mother and elder brother are here, I won't bother Mr. Gu to do it for me. Zhang Luo looked over belatedly, and sure enough, she saw Zhang Mu's face was ashen. And Zhang Chenbei had obviously endured it for a long time with the veins showing on his forehead. At the same time, I received a reminder in my mind that the system's favorability with Mother Zhang and Zhang Chenbei has declined. Zhang Luo cursed a curse word, and the joy of taking down Gu Xiajing just now disappeared in an instant. As a Zanying family, it is natural that etiquette, justice, integrity, and shame are the most important. Zhang Luo and Gu Xiajing's actions are blatantly slapping them in the face, and it's fine in front of their own family. Now that there are so many Mrs. Jo men present, after they go back, within half a day, the whole capital will know about the scandal of sisters fighting each other and two daughters competing for one husband. Thinking of this, Mother Jiang's eyes darkened. She forced herself to change the topic, and called everyone to enjoy the flowers in the courtyard. A good flower viewing feast ended hastily. After everyone left, Mother Zhang sat in the flower hall and smashed the cup. Kneel down for me. Jiang's mother was furious, half of it was the hatred of Zhang Luo, and the other half was the anger at Gu Xiajing's overstepping. The rest was disappointment at Zhang Changning's confrontation with Gu Xiajing on the spot regardless of the general situation. Mother, calm down. Zhang Chongning knelt down with a slap. Jiang's mother has been kind to her in nurturing her, so there is nothing she can't kneel down. On the contrary, Zhang Luo is unwilling and embarrassed. Although she is in the Ho's mansion, she is the soul of a modern person in her bones. Asking her to bend her knees and kneel to Mother Zhang is really impossible. Besides, she was used to following the system to run amok in several small worlds, so she would not be able to eat Jiang's mother's tricks. Right now Zhang Chongning is kneeling, and she can't do without kneeling. I had no choice but to bend my knees slowly, and when I was about to kneel down, my body tilted, and I fell to the ground suddenly as if my legs were weak. Mother Zhang couldn't see how careful she was. Compared with Zhang Chongning who was kneeling straight, he was naturally more disappointed with Zhang Luo. After all, it was a small family who grew up in a small family. It is also my own fault that made this child grow into what he is today. Jiang's mother made up her mind that she must strictly discipline Zhang Luo in the future. Ask the servants to help Zhang Luo into a seat. Zhang Chongning naturally can't kneel anymore. After the two sat down, Mother Zhang spoke up, "You guys know what happened today?" Zhang Luo looked aggrieved with red eye circles. Zhang Chongning looked thoughtfully at the beads on the embroidered shoes, which made Jiang's mother frown. Zhang Luo has only entered the mansion for a few days, how could the two sisters not get along so well? Jiang's mother sighed and said to Zhang Chongning, "I know that what happened today has made you feel wronged. The young master of the Gu family grew up with you and has been familiar with the 4 books and 5 classics since he was a child. He will definitely not do anything that violates human ethics. Luo Er is your sister. Presumably Ai Wujiwu treated her as his own sister, so he said something wrong in a hurry. Don't blame him." Jiang's mother took a sip of tea, seeing that Zhang Chongning didn't react much, she paused and said, "Luo Er is simple-minded, How can she understand the twists and turns? After today, I will teach her how to distinguish between right and wrong. It's her eldest sister, now and in the future. Obviously talking about Gu Xiajing, but secretly leaving Zhang Luo completely behind. Zhang Chongning sighed inwardly. She didn't believe that Jiang's mother would fail to see the friendship between Gu Xiajing and Zhang Luo after being immersed in the back house for many years. Now that he said something against his will, it was after all to protect Zhang Luo. My younger sister is ignorant, so it's her elder sister who should be sensible. Jiang's mother saw that Zhang Changning's face was loose, and quickly signaled to Zhang Luo, Luo hurry up and apologize to your sister. Zhang Luo was naturally very reluctant. She pouted her full red lips and tried to act coquettishly to Jiang's mother. My daughter just admires Mr. Gu, he is like her own brother. It's the eldest sister who has a small belly, and she wants to go wrong. My daughter, what's wrong? Before Mother Zhang could speak this time, Zhang Chongning raised his head abruptly. Her eyes are very clear, but the pupils are very dark. It's like hiding an abyss that can people into it. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. True false. Just looking at Zhang Luo without blinking like this is really frightening. After falling over Zhang Chongning again and again, Zhang Luo was also short of breath. But she still held her head up and said, "Why is big sister looking at me like this? Did I say something wrong? I'm thinking wrong? When Gu Xiajing slandered me for hurting my second sister, did you speak up to defend me? Did the second sister ever think that if I really let this basin of dirty water be poured on me and wait for my future? What will it be? Zhang Luo, you and I are in Jiang's mansion, we are both prosperous and hurt. You can deal with me, but please think about your brother and mother beforehand, and use your brain more. You." Zhang Changning's words hurt Zhang Luo's self-esteem. She opened her eyes wide and couldn't care less about pretending to be sick. She stood up all of a sudden. "Zhang Chongning, who do you think you are? You are a dog raised by my Zhang family. Shut up." Mother Zhang slapped the table hard, her breath was short of breath and her face was flushed, apparently confused by Zhang Luo's anger. Drib. The target person Jiang's has been detected, and his favorability has dropped to 60%, please host carefully. The system's words calmed down the ferocious Zhang Luo slightly. Originally, when she was living with Jiang's mother, she had almost maxed out her favorability points, but just one day made her several days of hard work go to waste. I was too impatient. Zhang Luo took a deep breath, and when she turned her head to look at Mother Zhang, 2 lines of tears rolled down her cheeks. She whimpered and lay on Mother Jiang's lap. "Mother, my daughter knows she's wrong. I'm just afraid of my mother. Only my sister said the wrong thing in a hurry. Besides, the elder sister's words are too hurtful." Zhang Luo leaned against her and wept pitifully. Mother Jiang's heart softened again. She stroked Zhang Luo's head with her hand, and the tense atmosphere between the mother and daughter disappeared. Although Zhang Luo's words were harsh, Zhang Changning's words also made her feel unhappy. Anyway, Zhang Luo is also her biological son and daughter. Apart from being simple-tempered, she is a little more outspoken, so it's not as miserable as Zhang Chongning said. Jiang's mother didn't show her displeasure, but she began to ignore Zhang Chongning, who was sitting on the side, intentionally or unintentionally. It's useless to say anything. Zhang Chongning felt a little bitter in her heart. She didn't stay any longer, got up and bowed to Mother Zhang and stepped back. Pushing open the door, the cool night wind blows in, and Zhang Chongning slowly exhales a foul breath. When Zhang Chongning returned to the yard alone, Hong Xing had already been waiting for a long time. Jiang's mother left the 2 sisters to talk, and even drove out the eldest son. Even though Hong Xing was anxious outside, she was helpless. Seeing that Zhang Chongning came back by the moonlight, he was relieved. "Madam, did you ever make things difficult for the girl?" Hong Xing helped Zhang Chongning into the room and sat down, with a look of displeasure on her face. Anyone with a discerning eye can see what the second girl is thinking, but Mr. Gu can't see it. You still do it in front of me. It's too annoying to accuse the girl in front of many people. What are you angry about? Now that Zhang Luo is back home, it's time for me to make a marriage contract with him. Regarding Hong Xing's righteous indignation, Zhang Chongning himself didn't feel much. Girl, you are not allowed to say that, so what if the second girl comes back? This marriage contract has been set long ago. If the Gu family betrays its trust, it is not afraid of being ridiculed by the big government. Hong Xing stretched out her hand to help Zhang Chongning take off the hairpin. Her long hair is black and smooth, like satin. Even if I betray my promise, I'm no longer the concubine of the home mansion, so why bother to force something that doesn't belong to me? Besides, Mr. Gu is not a good man. The tense scalp was finally relieved, and Zhang Chongning sighed comfortably. One voice, cancel the marriage contract and return to their respective places, so it's better to have resentment with each other in the future. Hong Xing carefully combed her hair, seeing Zhang Changning's tired face, she swallowed back what she was going to say. He hurriedly asked the woman in the yard to bring hot water to wait for Zhang Chongning to take a bath and change clothes. There were so many things that happened that day, Zhang Chongning almost fell asleep. She didn't sleep well this time. The flames in the sky burned half of the sky in Gu's mansion red. The whole street is filled with thick smoke and the smell of paste. There were screams from inside, and the two doors of the Gu mansion were locked tightly. No matter how desperate the people inside were, they couldn't pry the door open halfway. A tall and thin figure stood in front of Gu's mansion, his hair was tied high with a jade crown. Zhang Chongning couldn't see his face clearly, he could only see the long dragon embroidered with gold thread on his sleeve following the heat wave automatic without wind. I was wrong, I really know I was wrong. The kneeling woman was obviously frightened, and her voice was trembling. The outstretched hand should have been white, tender and slender, but the 10 nails had been pulled out, leaving only fingers. Even so, despite the pain and trembling, she grabbed the corner of the man's clothes. I really didn't kill Zhang Chongning, it was Gu Xiajing, who forced me. As long as you let me go, what do you want me to do? I can agree. The woman has disheveled hair and ragged clothes. Zhang Chongning wanted to take 2 steps forward, but an invisible force prevented her from going forward. I want Zhang Chongning to come back to life, can you too? The woman's words seemed to make the other party react. He stretched out his hand and stroked the woman's face. Yes. Yes. There is something called a system on my body, as long as the energy is enough, it can come up with props to revive people. Before the woman finished speaking, the man's hand had already touched the top of her head. I don't know what to say, but in the woman's terrified eyes, there was a flash of light in the palm of her hand. The woman couldn't help screaming, she twisted her body and tried to get out of the man's shackles, but it was all in vain. When the light disappeared, a white light spot was caught by the man in his hand. How, no. Zhang Luo rushed forward like crazy, but it was already too late. He could only watch helplessly as the system that had just been pulled out of his body disappeared into the man's palm in an instant. This scene was so incredible that Zhang Chongning was also amazed. It turned out that it was the system, someone was able to strip this thing from Zhang Luo's body alive. Zhang Luo, who had lost her system, seemed to have been drained of all her strength. She fell to the ground in a daze, and laughed nervously as she watched the raging flames above Gu's mansion. Zhang Chongning! Zhang Chongning! Looking at the man in front of him, Zhang Luo smiled distortedly and happily. Do you know how Zhang Chongning died? Let me tell you, she was made alive. Zhang Luo didn't finish her sentence, she found herself flying in horror. Zhang Chongning covered her mouth, she saw Zhang Luo's head detached from her neck, flew into the air and then fell to the ground, rolling far away. And her body sneezed, and she fell to the ground like a worn-out sack, completely motionless. End of this chapter. Chapter 10 Night Visit. Take it to the dogs. Yes. Several men in black swiftly dragged away Zhang Luo's body. The sun was setting to the west, and the fire in Gu Mansion had come to an end. Except for the sound of houses collapsing, the whole Gu Mansion was silent, without any life. There was such a big movement, but the doors of every house in the whole street were closed. From the beginning to the end, that man kept looking in the direction of the Gu Mansion, watching the entire Duke Mansion disappear from the world. Zhang Chongning felt very uncomfortable, as if he was blocked. She never thought that someone would avenge herself after her death. Zhang Chongning stretched his neck, wanting to see the man again. But there was a gust of wind, and when he opened his eyes again, what caught his eyes was the gauze above his head. "I'm back again?" Hong Xing left a lamp when she went out. Zhang Chongning stared blankly at the green gourds embroidered on the curtain. This tent was found by Zhang Chenbai for her, and when it was brought back, it made people laugh a lot. Said that Mr. Zhang didn't think about his daughter-in-law first, but the tents of his 100 sons and grandchildren first. But who would have thought that Miss Zhang, who usually seems to follow the rules, actually likes these weird things? Zhang Chongning is not a cold-hearted person, on the contrary. It is because of too much emotion that she did not defend Zhang Luo, who returned to the mansion in the previous life. After all, she has occupied the home mansion for more than 10 years in vain, and owes Zhang Luo something. So much so that he even lost his life in the end. Zhang Chongning wiped away the tears on her face with her hands. In the dream just now, her emotions fluctuated greatly. Unexpectedly, in reality, he actually cried out. Fortunately, Hong Xing was guarding the door. If she saw it, she would be worried again. It was still early in the day, and it was still dark outside the window. Zhang Chongning lowered his arms, and when he was about to sleep for a while, the corner of his eye suddenly swept across the screen, where the bright corner of his clothes was both an eyesore and a source of panic. Zhang Chongning slowed down her breathing almost subconsciously, and only then did she notice that in addition to the fragrance of her body, there was also a faint smell of blood in the room. The situation was critical, and Zhang Chongning didn't wear shoes, so he just went down to the ground barefoot. She tried to stay as far away from the screen as possible, and slowly moved to the window. While walking around, Zhang Chongning had already figured it out. She is a weak woman with no strength to restrain her. It's not that I haven't thought of calling someone, but it's too risky. Hong Xing, who was on guard at night, did not resist the beating. It is very likely that Zhang Chongning had already been wiped on her neck by the time the people from the mansion rushed over. She has already thought about it, and she will jump out of the window whenever there is trouble. This is a second-floor attic, and there happened to be a small pond under the window of the boudoir. While gently opening the window, Zhang Chongning paid attention to the other side of the screen, but fortunately there was no movement, as if the person was dead. Zhang Changning's heart was half relieved. She climbed up the window rail cautiously, as if she was about to jump down. There was a chick, and a man's chuckle came from behind the screen. Zhang Chongning turned his head sharply, facing a pair of bright peach blossom eyes. I don't know how long he watched it. Zhang Changning's forehead was throbbing with veins. She squeezed her fists and took a deep breath. Please close your eyes, my lord. After a while, Zhang Chongning jumped out of the window with a blank face under the gaze of Qin Huizhu. She didn't even look at Qin Huizhu, she went straight to the door and wanted to open it. Open the door and shout molestation. Qin Huizhu didn't panic, he smiled slightly, and even went to the table to pour himself a cup of tea. The little girl believes that the prince is an upright gentleman, and will not do things that are indecent to a woman. It's not you who shouted, it was the king who shouted. No one would have thought that the girl from the Zhang family would be so bold that even the prince of the court would dare to pick her up. Qin Huizhu had some tea on his lips, and his delicate facial features were illuminated by the candle light. Indescribable temptation. After hearing what he said, Zhang Chongning sneered again and again. The door didn't even open, so he just sat across from Qin Huizhu to see what he wanted to do. Why, Was this king right? Seeing that Zhang Chongning didn't speak, Qin Huizhi became even more presumptuous, and he raised his eyebrows pretending to be distressed. If this is the case, I can only wrong Mr. Gu to be a minor. This time Zhang Chongning was really surprised by Qin Huizhi's shamelessness. Before she could fight back, 886, who had been silent all this time, suddenly said in a difficult tone, "Brother, I advise you to say a few words less. If you chase your wife in the crematorium in the future, don't blame me for not reminding you today. After all, what you say now is a pit dug for the future." Qin Huizhi didn't quite understand what 886 said. The word chasing his wife was accurately captured. He didn't know what he thought of, and his face turned cold all of a sudden. Zhang Chongning also heard 886's words. She understood the meaning, saw Qin Huizhi's expression, and was speechless for a moment. "Why, are you really afraid that you will blackmail him?" Zhang Chongning moved the stool to the back, trying to stay as far away from Qin Huizhi as possible. When Qin Huizhi saw it, his expression became even worse. "What are you doing sitting so far away? Come here and give me medicine." Of course Zhang Chongning didn't do it. She got up and wanted Hong Xing to come in. It doesn't matter if she knows that Qin Huizhi is here, the little girl has no other advantages except her tight mouth. Qin Huizhi also saw Zhang Changning's thoughts. He smiled coldly, "If you're not afraid of her death, just let her in." Zhang Chongning had no choice but to give up the idea. Reluctantly, she walked to Qin Huizhi's side and said without giving up, "I'm afraid that the minister's clumsy hands will hurt the Lord." "It's okay, I want to see how the talented girl Zhang is clumsy." Zhang Chongning couldn't help it, she frowned, and stretched out her hand to help Qin Huizhi take off the coat. When he was taking off his underwear, Zhang Chongning had a difficult time. Groups of dark brown blood stains had stained the clothes so that they couldn't see their original appearance, and it was tightly attached to Qin Huizhi's body, and it was already glued to the wound. If you want to tear off the clothes, it is bound to make the wound open and bleed again. Just use your strength. Qin Huizhi's voice was very steady, and it was impossible to tell that it was a seriously injured person. He himself doesn't care, so he has nothing to be afraid of. Gritting his teeth, Zhang Chongning ruthlessly tore off Qin Huizhi's inner garment. It was only then that she saw Qin Huizhi's injury clearly. A falchion flesh knife wound snaked down from Qin Huizhi's shoulder. The outermost layer of flesh has turned white. Because of Zhang Changning's force, the wound burst open. Blood splattered out again. Zhang Chongning picked up Qin Huizhi's wound medicine from the table, and slowly poured the powder on the wound. The medicine is strong and has a miraculous effect on wounds. On the contrary, the treatment process is also more painful, which is tantamount to adding salt to the wound. Although Qin Huizhi didn't make a sound, Zhang Chongning clearly felt his back muscles tense as soon as he applied the powder. It seemed really painful, but she couldn't help it. Qin Huizhi's forehead was covered with beads of sweat, and he stood up straight without saying a word, waiting for the effect of the medicine to wear off. When he was not paying attention, Zhang Chongning stood up. When he came back, he seemed to have something in his hand. Qin Huizhi raised his head, and before he could speak, something was stuffed into his mouth. A sweet scent with sweet-scented osmanthus spreads from the tongue. Is sugar. End of this chapter.